Oh, wow, man. Wow. So, 2012 champions Chelsea have another third team to progress to the semi-finals of this year's FA Cup. So, it was actually a 4-2 win for Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge over Leicester City. And it was actually Marco Cucurella, he scored a goal which was only like basically his second goal in English football across both spells at Brighton, Hove Albion as well as Chelsea. So basically what actually happened in this game, it was a very tough game, to say the least. Chelsea were in the ascendancy, but again, defensive, frailties at the back almost cost them the tie, because Chelsea scored twice in stoppage time to actually survive a major scare against Leicester City and reach the FA Cup semi-finals. So it was actually substitutions, super substitutions. I'm talking about super subs, okay? I'm talking about Kani, Kuku Wamaka, as well as Noni Madueke. They're the ones that snatched the victory for the Blues at an end of a dramatic second half in which the home fans even threatened to turn on manager Mauricio Pochettino. It's now do or die for Chelsea in the FA Cup because this is their last bit of silverware that they can actually claim. And remember, Chelsea, they are far off, the European spots. I'm talking about Champions League. Like Chelsea are way out of contention to actually qualify for the Champions League. Unless if there's any miracle that actually happens, but they are far off it. So their best bet is actually to qualify for Europa League or the Conference League. But to qualify for the Europa League, they need to win the FA Cup. Okay? Or maybe make it to the finals and hope that, other results go their way. So the hosts, actually, Chelsea, they led comfortably at 2-0, until Axel Disasi scored a comedy own goal. I mean, Jesus Christ, from 35 yards out to breathe life into the tie in the 51st minute. Jesus Christ, that was just crazy. And we saw Steffi Mavididi, curled in a superb equalizer 11 minutes later, after which a fractured Stamford Bridge voiced its unrest. And it was so outrageous, with loud boos and chants of "you don't know what you're doing" to their coach, Mauricio Pochettino. But then a red card, with 17 minutes to go for Leicester City defender, Callum Doyle, proved to be crucial for Chelsea because he fouled Nicholas Jackson, and having been initially being shown a yellow card and a penalty given, the video assistant referee ruled out the foul outside of the box but upgraded his yellow to red, and Chelsea applied constant pressure from there onwards. And then we saw Kuku Wemaka slotted in after a clever flick with Cole Palmer, who scored along with Marco Cucurella for Chelsea in the first half and in the 92nd minute of the game. And Madueke's long-range strike actually sealed the win, which maintains Chelsea's high hopes of actually ending a difficult season on a high by actually winning the FA Cup for the first time since 2018. And, Leicester City's attention now turns back to the Championship, where the Foxes, lead has been cut, only to 1 point as they attempt to earn promotion back to the Premier League. And again, yes, Chelsea, they were in the ascendancy for most parts of the game, but they defensively, they've been lacking. They've been very poor this season, Chelsea. They've been, horrendous. And yesterday just proved it again. This particular encounter against Leicester City just proved how woeful Chelsea have been in defending. Because throwing away a 2-goal lead at home against a Championship side, yes, I know they've got Premier League experience. I know they've won the FA Cup before. I know that Leicester City, were the league champions at some point in time. But still, I mean, that is just, it's bizarre, man. It's just bizarre. But hopefully Chelsea can work on that, going into next season. Because right now, this disaster has to end. It really has to end. And to say the least, now, Chelsea, it's very crucial for them to actually win the FA Cup this year. They really need it more than anything else. Right? And it's not going to be easy for them because you've got other teams that also need some silverware after a difficult season. Clubs like Manchester United. Liverpool have a point to prove. They want to win all the trophies. They want to make a clean sweep across all domestic competitions. So they need a quadruple, to actually give Jurgen Klopp the perfect send-off. Whereas Man City also want the treble. That's their aim. So it's actually not going to be easy for Chelsea. Will it? Definitely not, because currently, right now, Man City are through, Coventry City, Wolverhampton Wanderers are through, now Chelsea are through. So we just have to wait for the final result between Liverpool and Manchester United at Old Trafford. Oof, 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 oof. Boy oh boy, boy oh boy. It's going to be an incredible semi-final to actually look forward to, man. It really is. And at the Molineux, we saw an incredible game of football being played. Coventry City stunning Wolverhampton Wanderers to actually reach the FA Cup semi-finals for only the second time in their history, thanks to 2 stoppage time goals at the Molineux. And what's incredible about this particular encounter is that I even thought that Wolverhampton Wanderers were going to walk away with victory, because Wolverhampton Wanderers, took the lead in the 88th minute of the game. I thought the game was done set. No, but I was wrong. I was heavily mistaken. It's crazy. It's insane. It's just mind-blowing. How could this happen? How could it be? How could it be? The championship side, they led through Ellis Sims. He what a wonderful strike. Up until the 83rd minute before falling 2-1 behind after Wolverhampton Wanderers made a dramatic comeback. And from that particular moment in time, you could tell that, no, man, Wolverhampton Wanderers have actually won the game. Yes, it's 88 minutes on the clock. They've scored a second. Time is still running out. They've got the experienced Premier League team. But no, Coventry City had other ideas. Sims scored again to actually equalize in the 97th minute of the game. And then what? Haji Wright called in 3 minutes later to spark wild celebrations, leaving the Molineux in huge despair and shock. Mark Robin's men, thought they had dreams of becoming the first team from outside the top flight to actually win the FA Cup since 1980 have been dashed when Ryan At-Nouri, and substitute Hugo Bueno struck in the final 7 minutes in response to Sims' controversial opener. But out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, Sims got his second goal when he turned home Bobby Thomas's flick at the far post. And then it was game on. And then you could tell this was game on. Now it's anybody's game from this particular moment in time. Then, with the stadium preparing for extra time, Sims found Wright with a neat layoff before the 25-year-old found the bottom corner, giving Jose Sa no chance. Hats off. Incredible. Just incredible. Incredible scenes, man. Incredible. Robbins and his backroom team, raced onto the pitch at the final whistle to actually celebrate his side, booking a return to Wembley, where they were beaten by Luton, in last season's championship playoff final. And remember, they famously defeated Tottenham in 1987 to actually win the FA Cup not so long ago? Right. Yes, that is history, but feels like it was yesterday. I'm lying. I'm kidding. I wasn't even born at that time. So who am I to actually say, like, yo, man, it feels like it was not yesterday. It feels like it was yesterday when I was not even born at that particular moment in time. And let's just say this, man. Let's just put this on record. Ellis Sims has now scored 10 goals in his last 8 appearances across all competitions, after only netting 4 times across his first 35 outings for the club. That's a great way to make a comeback, eh? That's a great way to actually, make a statement. That's a great way to actually revive your, your career. And it was actually hard to deny Coventry their victory. Even if the manner of it took the breath away, the visitors were purposeful, from the first moment of the game, and their play had conviction. Their opponents were ponderous, to actually say the least. And you look at the former Everton striker, Sims, they had a real threat going forward, to be honest with you guys, because the 23-year-old, his speed, his strength, proved to actually be a major asset. Even if, his dexterity, leaves something to be desired, as shown, in the first half when he somehow managed to send a side foot effort straight to Sal when he had, half a goal to aim at. But Sims, an £8 million summer signing, has a goal scorer's instinct though. He seized the opportunity to put Coventry ahead, with The goal eventually awarded after a long video assistant referee check for a potential handball. And from that particular moment in time, in what felt like the dying embers of the contest, his side seemed destined to lose. He has in virtuality the same position at the far post to drag his side level. And Sims had the strength to actually hold off the Wolves' defense. And what he actually did so right, he ensured that Wright had enough time to, pick a time and space to actually pick his spot for the winning goal. It was so shattering, to say the least, man. What? If you're the Wolverhampton Wanderers boss, Gary O'Neill, I'm sure you must be shattered wherever you are. He went into the 9 minutes of stoppage time believing his injury-hit side had saved themselves. Ad Nuri in particular did not deserve to be on the losing side. In a team missing Pedro Neto, Huang Hichan, Matthias Cunha, the Algerian was Wolves' major attacking weapon. And he hit the post with the head as Wolves searched for an equalizer at 1-0 down. Then we saw some great neat interchanging play. And, he pounced on a duel missed control. And Bueno thought that he had actually won it, with his first senior goal, and he applied a smart finish after Coventry's defense had opened up to actually invite, Wolverhampton Wanderers to run at them. And Sims had other ideas, like I said. So, it's just crazy, man. It was an incredible game. It was just incredible. That's what the FA Cup is all about, It's all about upsets. It's all about upsets. And remember, Coventry do not have the use of VAR on a weekly basis in the championship. While, for the Wolverhampton Wanderers fans, it is a similar experience and not a system they have a great deal of faith in. Because it seemed telling when they were booing and singing against it, as the wait continued, even though their side was the potential beneficiary of the review. But, the game's lawmakers, the International Football Association Board, has already ruled out the prospect of real-time in-stadium replays in the foreseeable future, because even if they were available, those present might not have, appreciated endless, reshowings of an incident in ultra-slow motion. So there's no point of it. But at the same time, it is necessary, okay? It is necessary because we need fair play in football. Football needs fair play. But congratulations to Coventry City, man. Really, a big congratulations to them. A big congratulations to Coventry City. And in the late night kickoff, Manchester City, obviously defending champions, cruising again once into the semi-finals. And it was a tough ask for Newcastle United. It was a tough ask for Newcastle United because Newcastle United do not have a great record at the Etihad. They've been very disastrous on their travels to the Etihad. I'm talking about Newcastle United, the Magpies. Manchester City cruised, into the FA Cup semi-finals with a comfortable victory over a jaded and disappointing Newcastle United side at Etihad Stadium. There was really not much in this game. It was just City dominance only. That's why I don't even want to go into many details in this particular game, because this particular encounter was not really as exciting as I would want it to be, because Newcastle, I thought they had it all to play for. I thought they would really show more hunger, show more perspicacity, show more, intention from the first whistle, but they didn't. Because now, Pep Guardiola's side remain in contention to actually repeat, last season's historic treble of Champions League, Premier League, as well as the FA Cup. And they were barely troubled, on a rain-lashed night in Manchester. Barely. Like, Newcastle did not provide any real threat whatsoever. And they are like the first side in FA Cup history to reach 6 successive FA Cup semi-finals. Okay? Manchester City are the first side in the FA Cup history to reach 6 successive FA Cup semi-finals. And they have reached the last 4, in 7 of Pep Guardiola's 8 campaigns in charge. City were in control with a 2-goal lead, by the break on Saturday. And although both goals had an element of good fortune, they reflected a half in which, the defending champions, they were actually dominant with, controlling 75% of the possession. First, Bernardo Silva's shot was deflected up and over Newcastle goalkeeper Martin Dubravka by Dan Burns' outstretched leg after 13 minutes. And then we saw the Portuguese's effort went in via the head of defender Sven Botman just after the hour mark. So it just tells you after the half-hour mark, And Newcastle United's best chance came, when Alexander Isak's first-time shot, was actually saved by goalkeeper Stefan Ortega. But it was an otherwise, stress-free night for City as they head to Wembley once more, while Eddie Howe must now try to ensure what has been a season of underachievement does not fizzle out into a timid conclusion for him. And it was actually an easy night for Man City, to say the least, because Pep Guardiola's desire to win another FA Cup, was illustrated by the strength of his starting lineup. And, they delivered their desired outcome. And City ran over their opponents to actually contemplate another Wembley semi-final after a night when, their main discomfort was the horrendous weather, with the match being played out, in a torrential, downpour. And City, were not at their sparkling best in difficult conditions, but they did not need to be, or indeed, they didn't have to even be anywhere near their best, to actually dispose Newcastle United, because they simply never needed to extend themselves in the face of Newcastle's timid challenge. Bernardo Silva was City's match winner, although, he was strongly assisted by those two crucial deflections to effectively put the game to bed by the halftime break. And, City could have extended their advantage while playing well with themselves. Jeremy Doku having a shot saved by Dubravka. The prolific Erling Haaland had a rare night, when the ball did not run for him. Although his tireless efforts earned him a standing ovation, I meant to say, when he was actually substituted late on. And Guardiola will now hope City's players, come through to the international break unscathed. And before the return of domestic action in the colossal meeting with Premier League leaders Arsenal at the Etihad Stadium on March the 31st. So Newcastle United as well on the slide, because their defeat even meant the optimism, engendered by a Wembley appearance in an FA Cup semi-final is beyond them, in a season that is rapidly becoming a serious anticlimax. Because they are a mitigating circumstances, with the scale of injuries Howe is currently dealing with, as influential figures such as Kieran Trippier, Joelinton remain sidelined, alongside keeper Nick Pope, Callum Wilson, and the suspended Sandro Tonali. The defender Tino, Livramento was another late withdrawal through injury, and for all this, it was a tame Newcastle United performance that did carry some few signs of self-belief or, conviction, and they might be able to make a game of it, once City established a stranglehold. And Isak, missed the biggest first half chance for them, but the second half was just a formality, almost played out in a manner of testimonial, as Newcastle accepted their fate, and City played in a way that conserved their energies. Newcastle didn't do anything, they didn't provide any real sort of threat, no challenge whatsoever, nothing. Whereas in the Premier League, Newcastle, currently lie in 10th position, and, they still with an outside chance, of securing European football next season, but they'll actually have to perform a lot better than this if they are to secure European football next season. And they are on a downward trajectory. And in their current predicament, memories of an early excitement on Tyneside of the season's Champions League campaign seem an age away once again. Hopefully it doesn't have to go for another 10 years where we won't see Newcastle partaking in European football. We hope so. That doesn't happen. Yeah. I just don't know what to say to you guys, man, because, Liverpool had it all in their hands. Liverpool had it in their hands, but they let it slip. They've got themselves to blame. They should have been more clinical in front of goal. They should have capitalized on those opportunities that they had whilst they were still leading at 2-1, and they didn't do it. And they were punished. And that's how it happens. In football, if you don't take your chances, if you don't capitalize on your opponent's weaknesses, and if you're not clinical in front of goal, you will be punished. You will pay the price. And that's exactly what happened to Liverpool. So Liverpool's hopes of a quadruple are dashed. So they only have the Europa League and the Premier League to play for. Whereas Manchester United have kept their trophy hopes alive just for this season, and they ended Liverpool's quest for 4 trophies. It was actually a dramatic extra time victory in the FA Cup quarter-final clash at Old Trafford. That was like a classic to watch. A classic to watch. And let's just say it like this. Let's put it like this, man. It wasn't like an incident-packed encounter, And the substitute, Ahmed Diallo, the Ivorian, who actually sent Erik ten Hag's side to Wembley, with the strike in the dying seconds of additional time, to send the Stratford end, wild. And the match winner then being sent off after getting a second yellow card for his celebrations, taking off his shirt. But I understand, you can't blame him. Scoring a winning goal in a match of this, caliber, in a match of this stature is very, it's crucial. And it does so much to your confidence because it summed up everything about the thriller. United, even the Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag doing a dance of delight as Diallo shot, flashed past, Liverpool goalkeeper, Kelleher. And, with Manchester United, they also missed opportunities of their own. And imagine if, Manchester United were to lose the game, Marcus Rashford, the minute everybody would be on his case. I can tell you that for a fact, everybody would be on his case because he missed glorious opportunities. He missed in the last minute of regulation time to actually, send Manchester United to the semi-finals. He was just very fortunate. And United's desire for a place, in the last four at Wembley, was illustrated in a fast start, which saw them take an early lead through, obviously, Scotty to Hardy, Scott McTominay, bundling home from close range in the 10th minute. That was just like, it was a rebound, after Kelleher had pushed out Alejandro Garnacho's shot, and Kelleher denied McTominay again from close range before the tie was turned on its head, as Liverpool scored twice in 3 minutes on the stroke of halftime to actually take the lead, and stun Manchester United. Remember, Liverpool also did have a goal denied. Endo's goal was actually denied for offside, and Alexis McAllister, once again, he equalized when his shot was deflected off Kobe Manu, and United paying the price, for allowing an excellent Gerald Quensah, to race forward unchallenged and to play in Darwin Núñez. And Mohamed Salah, from the rebound, the regular scourge of United struck swiftly, with his 13th goal in 14 appearances against Manchester United. So Salah has scored 13 goals in 14 appearances against Manchester United, turning home in front of a Stratford end after Andrew Onana had saved from Núñez. And you could tell that now Liverpool, it's their game, because they were dominating from that particular moment in time. And they could have made it 3 before halftime, but Manchester United just could count themselves fortunate to go into the break with just trailing by 1 goal. And Liverpool had the better of the opportunities after the break, but it was an unlikely source, Anthony, who drew Manchester United level 3 minutes from normal time with a low shot on the turn, with his weak right foot. Anthony scoring with his right foot. That was just, incredible. That was just, ironic to say the least. And the boy has come under so much criticism, the Brazilian, and him scoring on his right foot, that was actually a brilliant turn, and it was actually him who started the move. So wow, man, he's actually repaid Erik ten Hag his faith, because Erik ten Hag has showed so much faith in the Brazilian, even under the immense criticism he has come under. He has really shown so much faith in him, and the Brazilian did so well to repay his Dutch mentor Erik ten Hag. And Marcus Rashford then, again, he somehow steered a simple finish wide of the goal at his mercy to actually win the game for Manchester United. And he was just lucky. He was just fortunate that Manchester United didn't lose this game. Because again, had they lost the game, oh my goodness. Rashford, you were going to come under fire, my boy. But then, once again in extra time, guess who did it? Another Liverpool Academy player, Harvey Elliott, put Liverpool back in front after 105 minutes. A 20-yard shot, taking a crucial touch of substitute Christian Eriksen. And it swerved, tantalizingly out of the reach of Onana. So there was no way that Onana was going to save that one. He had no chance because Onana had already committed to dive to the right-hand side. Onana had already committed to dive the side. But then that deflection, it came, and obviously now he had to, and it's never easy for a goalkeeper to save those ones. So unfortunately, there was nothing that Onana could do. But it looked like the game was, up for Manchester United. But hey, Rashford, he made amends. That's what you do, man. You make amends for your earlier miss. He scored another equalizer. He was set up, in a sensational finale with Diallo being the central figure. Diallo's quality, man. And I'm still surprised that he was left out of the Cote d'Ivoire squad that won the AFCON. But he's a quality player. He's wonderful, man. He's a quality player, you know. But look, it is a huge win for Erik ten Hag, to say the least. You know, the arrival of, Sir Jim Ratcliffe as United's co-owner has increased the scrutiny, as well as speculation about the future of the manager, Ten Hag. And while the Dutchman's position was never going to be shaped entirely by one game, there was no doubt that there was a lot of riding on this one against United's arch rivals, who have been held up as template of what they must do to get where they want to be, enjoying the sort of success that used to be the way of life in this part of Manchester, and that part of Manchester, to say the least. And in the end, United pulled off a spectacular win after a game that will long live in the memory of everyone who had the pleasure to witness it, and including myself, because it leaves Ten Hag with the chance of a trophy this season and the opportunity to strengthen his case to stay at Old Trafford in the new footballing structure being assembled under Ratcliffe's rule. And the Theatre of Dreams has long waited, for a time to witness an occasion like that. Such raucous atmosphere kept by wild scenes of celebration by Diallo's winner. And, United got the perfect start with McTominay's goal, but it looked like it was going wrong when Liverpool struck twice, right on the halftime, brink. And Liverpool were superior. They were more superior than their opponents at Old Trafford, but, they could not cash in. And it was actually tribute to Manchester United's character that, stuck in to equalize through Anthony 30 minutes from end of normal time. And even to come back from Rashford's horrendous miss with the final kick of the 90 minutes, they had to climb up the hill once again. After Elliott had put Liverpool back in front in extra time, first off of extra time, and Rashford did not miss when given another opportunity, giving Diallo the chance to play the role of a match winner. Ten Hag was beaming broadly at the end, and you can't blame him, because look, man, United fans looked like they were walking on air, and their manager looked like he was about to join them. But you know what? Great character to Manchester United, man. Congratulations to them. And Liverpool, they paid the price for complacency, like I mentioned earlier on, because Liverpool's players slumped to Old Trafford turf is a despair at the final whistle, sounded on this magnificent FA Cup quarter-final, and their chances of winning a quadruple are over, amid the pain of defeat and wild Manchester United celebrations. They still have the opportunity to have a truly special season as, they chase the Premier League and the Europa League after they won the Carabao Cup. But this particular defeat for them, as well as the manner of it, and who it was against, will cut deeply, because, and Liverpool know that they played very well at large, in their own downfall, because seeming to become complacent when they dominated large parts of the second half, they wasted several good situations to build on a 2-1 lead, while lacking their usual urgency and cutting edge. And it left the door open for an increasingly desperate United, who were only too happy to accept the invitation against the Liverpool side, who looked vulnerable when they came under threat in defense. And in chaotic fashion, in chaotic conclusion, to say the least, they were caught on the counter-attack. And Diallo pinched possession of Elliott before leaving it to Garnacho, and the Ivory Coast international made his run down the field to receive the ball back and provide the grandstand finish. Jurgen Klopp and his players will now, redouble their efforts to make a spectacular farewell to the German manager as he prepares to leave at the end of the season. But, they will do so knowing that they missed a big opportunity to make another Wembley appearance. It's all their fault. They have themselves to blame, Liverpool. They do. Because that's how it is. You don't take your chances, you will be punished. And that's what you should know. That's football. You don't take your chances, you will be punished. You can't afford to be complacent, especially when you're playing at Old Trafford against a Manchester United team that also has got so much more to play for. You can't afford to be complacent. You can't afford to be complacent, Liverpool. You can't. But who will? Because now I think Manchester City will face Chelsea in the semi-finals, and Manchester United will face off against Coventry City at Wembley in the semi-finals.